Click the links, join channel here over at SubScribestar. Really, any one of these articles on Bounding into Comics is a great example of the things we're dealing with now. Hollywood is over, and that's a good thing. If you're an SJW and you found the channel by mistake, just turn it off. You're not going to enjoy it. You're a pussy. So a few things have been going on simultaneously. Hollywood is getting ridiculously heavy-handed with the woke propaganda, to the extent that the audience is just dipping out, and objectively the numbers reflect that. There's people name a few hits here and there, but there's a whole lot of movies that are losing ridiculous amounts of money. But another thing that is happening is that the people are using social media to awake the audience to this agenda, and it seems like there's other things going on with Hollywood to the point where they're willing to lose money to push this message repeatedly with movies that don't find an audience. And you go, oh, well, I mean, this is like 2 or 3 movies in a row with this, girl power type of movies. It would be crazy to make a 4th, and yet the 4th movie gets made. And you look at it, it's like something doesn't add up here. It's like these people are intoxicated, or they have this other motive that is not public. So people are starting to learn that Hollywood is about more than money. Hollywood is actually a tool that these people are using to social engineer and brainwash the next generation. You're an adult; you don't fall for this kind of stuff. The idea is like, why do you think the drag queen story hours aren't going to senior citizens, retirement homes, and that kind of stuff? They're going to kindergartens for a reason. It's the same with the Cartoon Network, the Amazon, the Netflix, all that stuff. The goal is to brainwash the kids, the next generation. They don't care about money. These people worship demons. I'm not saying that obviously demons are real or anything, but there are a lot of people in their circles who believe it's real. And then there are a lot of LARPers who go around with things because they think it's good for their career. And who knows where the truth actually lies. They the older I get, the more I look at spiritual things, and I go, I just don't know what I don't know. I'm willing to entertain the possibility that these people drop so many eyes wide shut type of spirit cooking hints that if you don't see it, then at this point you don't want to see it. Even if they're LARPing and doing drugs, like, why would you do things like have an unclothed woman in a pool of blood and paint satanic incantations on the walls? Who does that kind of stuff? I mean, it just seems like edgy posting, but the satanic stuff for most people would be like, why would you do that? It's like playing with the Ouija board type of stuff. Why would you do that? Why take the risk with these kind of things? Because most people across the scale of budgets, they get together, you have a barbecue, you drink, you might smoke something, watch movies, socialize. But what kind of people, you might even get into sex or some kind of, something along those lines. That is still within the spectrum of normal, do a little drugs and whatnot, but what kind of people play around with that, and then they add in satanic imagery, the Maria Abramovic, Dershowitz, Epstein type of stuff? That's just, people most normal people look at that and go, what else is going on here? None of this is making sense. Anyway, these people are deep into their echo chamber where they think this type of stuff is fine, and that these are the people making movies in Hollywood. Hollywood's a great example of an institution that is captured by Bolshevik ideology, that there is a narrow spectrum of allowable beliefs and a narrative to follow, and anything off the plantation doesn't get funded or distributed. There's a couple of rare Mel Gibson type of what a prince he has turned out to be. A couple of Mel Gibson exceptions, but it is pretty rare. And not everything in Hollywood is woke, preachy nonsense. Some of it is the boring, politically correct sameness, where what was that? Ryan Reynolds made a movie last year or something that was kind of similar to They Live. And it could have been a really good, insightful, incisive movie, and it wasn't. It just skated over the surface. It never got into anything. I'm sure it didn't do that well because it was about nothing. It was just They Live, but nerfed for a globalist, brainwashed audience. There are too many spots on the map that are blank because here there be dragons, where stories and perspectives that just don't get told. So to the movie audience, they don't exist because the audience doesn't read anymore. So there are millions of people who vaguely think that TV and movies are sort of based in truth and not just the same insane propaganda that it is. Even in our day, as the metrics show, you're a 45-year-old male audience, there was insane propaganda, but nothing compared to now. And we didn't have message boards to talk about it, and people ignored it until recently, where it just got so heavy-handed. And the thing is, it kind of starts a little, I don't know, a grass fire or something. Once you start talking about this stuff and you start noticing it, you see it in a lot of things. You realize, I'm just not interested in Hollywood anymore. And some great examples are The Acolyte and the recent Doctor Who, both of which are bombing horribly. Doctor Who is breaking new records in people not watching because it has a gay black guy in a dress, or actually it has two gay black guys in dresses. One is a son of the only English lady in the show, but thank God she's in a mixed relationship with another black guy. So the majority of the cast is in English. They're whatever. So what's the point? Shouldn't the English people have a few shows with just English people in it? Nope, not according to Disney and the BBC. Black shows for blacks is absolutely fine or whatever, but no English shows just for English. Everything that used to be a European has to be diverse and now gay, or which is or trans even, which I guess doesn't get enough attention. So the gay was like old school, so they upgraded it to the whole trans, another flag to parade around. Seems like that flag changes every year, which is part of the psyop humiliation ritual to get people to see how far they can take it without people rejecting it. It's like in Ireland, they're destroying these old fairy Irish temples and cutting down 200-year-old trees to put in migrant shelters, and the people who are doing the work are non-Irish, and that's part of the thing. It's like they will destroy the past. And they're talking about Stonehenge the other day. They put some paint on it, which, it's rock, it washes off, it's not a big deal. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna do a video for the alt platforms. They eventually they'll just destroy Stonehenge and remove it, and probably put something else in its place, because nobody will stop them. And if you think that sounds crazy, just watch. So the shows now. This show is nothing but gay, feminist, globalist propaganda. Whatever is the current theme of the date is what they support. This is the cultural Bolshevik takeover, and it's multifaceted. You can look at the schools with their rainbow flags, the drag queen story hour. It's a religion to them, and your taxes pay for it. The government schools and media work together to brainwash naive kids who think this is all organic and that the older folks are just istophobic, but they can't define any of those words they use or any of the words. They're very emotionally attached to beliefs that they can't articulate, and they're not mature enough to question why Hollywood and the schools are all on board pushing this one gay and now trans message. Why are there suddenly rainbow flags everywhere? Could kids bring a Hawken cruise to school? No, because the school says, well, that's a symbol of hate. But we feel the 6-color BLT flag, it's not a rainbow flag, because rainbow is 7 colors. The guy who invented this flag changed it a little bit, which is interesting. The thing is, both of those flags should either be allowed or neither should be allowed. And who gets to decide what hate is? And who gave these people this power to enforce the narrative? Who's really pulling the strings on this unified message? It's not a conspiracy theory to think that there are hidden forces manipulating this, because they don't actually go through that much trouble to hide their tracks. Anyway, they keep remaking things. Squid Games is on the list, and people keep asking, well, why can't they just make new movies? And the simple answer is they can't, because if they did, it would have to be woke, i.e. diverse, feminist, white man bad, and people have just gotten tired of that. So these movies lose money. Madam Web, Birds of Prey, The Marvels, Black Widow, Black Adam, The Eternals. Disney lost $1 billion last year because of woke. So they use name recognition of old movies, like the Peter Pan was one, and they just bait and switch. Rings of Power, Willow, Witcher, Wheel of Time are examples. They keep making crap and nobody watches after the first few episodes. Or the Disney streaming Star Wars, where even the left-wing sycophants can't watch The Acolyte. It's just too bad. It's a bunch of black lesbian witches And that's enough. That's all you need to hear. You're not going to watch after those words. Try a bunch of hot blonde Swedish girls, and you're going to give it a shot. Because if they're not of European origin, then they're going to be Mary Sue's. And I just don't care anymore. I have PTSD from non-white Mary Sue's. I don't even ask for movie money anymore like I used to. Pay for the ticket and I'll go see a movie and review it. I stopped that because it's not worth it. Why support these companies when you can just go sail the high seas if you have to review it? It would be embarrassing to actually go in the theater and sit down, like pay money for a ticket for one of these just stupid movies. Anyway, at some point you have to look at pop culture in general, comics, recent books, games, movies, and understand that it's over. Read old books. I'm reading a thing about Stanley Livingston now in the search for the Nile source, written about 100 years ago, called Into Africa. It's delightfully politically incorrect. What always gets me is what they say about like the Portuguese and the Spanish. It's really funny. Anyway, people spend an hour a day playing a video game when they could be reading old books. Games, movies, and comics aren't the source. They're derivative of the stories from old books. Just go to the original source material from 100 years ago plus, instead of getting the dumbed down, politically correct Marxist versions. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next episode.